All right, let's talk about one of the most misunderstood, but honestly, one of the most powerful shots in all of tennis, the lob. It's so much more than just a desperate flick you throw up in the air. When you use it right, it's a tactical secret weapon that can totally flip a point on its head.
Okay, so let's set the scene with a situation that every single player knows. I'm talking about a high pressure point where you're facing this classic tennis puzzle. And it doesn't matter if you're on a local court or in a Grand Slam final, we've all been here.
So picture this. You're stretched out wide, maybe you're completely off balance, and you see your opponent charging forward, building this wall at the net, and they are just taking away every single angle for a passing shot. What do? What's your move? Yeah, that feeling, it's brutal, right? The court just feels like it's shrinking, the net suddenly seems a mile high, and in your head, the point feels like it's already over. But it's not, because you have a tool that was designed for this exact moment. And that tool, it's not just one shot called the lob. You have to think of it more like a versatile toolkit. And in that kit, you've got two very different options, and each one is designed for a very specific job. So let's break these two down. First up, you've got the defensive lob. The goal here is super simple. Buy yourself some time. You're scrambling, you're out of position, and you just send that ball way up high. It gives you a few precious seconds to get back in the point, to reset. But then, you've got the offensive topspin lob, and this thing is a weapon. The trajectory is way lower, it's way more aggressive, and its whole purpose is to win the point right then and there by dipping like crazy behind an opponent who got a little too greedy at the net. So, how does that aggressive, dipping arc actually happen? I mean, it can look like magic sometimes, right? But it's not. It is pure physics. So let's dive into the science that makes the topspin lob one of the most devastating shots in the entire game. It all comes down to a principle called the Magnus effect. Basically, as the ball is spinning forward, it creates a pocket of high-pressure air underneath it and low-pressure air on top. And that pressure difference literally shoves the ball downward, forcing it to drop out of the sky way faster than a flat ball would. This is exactly why it's so tricky and so hard for your opponent to judge.
So how do you create that spin? Well, check this out. This data from a biomechanics study is absolutely fascinating because it shows us exactly how it's done. On a normal topspin groundstroke, almost all of your racket's energy is going horizontally. You're driving the ball forward. But now look at the topspin lob. The horizontal and vertical energy are almost equal. That means you are fundamentally changing your swing, redirecting a huge chunk of energy from going forward to going upward.
And that is the crucial takeaway here. Hitting a great topspin lob isn't about muscling the ball or swinging harder. It's about changing the very geometry of your swing. It's about swinging upward and brushing up the back of the ball. And this is really where the physics meets the player's touch. Think of it like you've got a control panel with 5 dials. You have to dial in the right height to clear your opponent, the right depth to push them back, the right speed and direction to find that open court, and, most importantly, that killer spin to make the ball dip and kick. Mastering the lob means you're mastering all 5 of these controls at once. Okay, so we've got the science down. Now let's talk about the art, the strategy. When and how do you actually use this weapon when you're out there on the court? This quote just nails the shift in mindset you have to have. The lob isn't a panic button. It's a calculated chess move, designed to flip the script and steal control of the point right when it seems like you have no control at all. And get this, there is actually data to back this up. A study looked at professional paddle tennis players, a sport where this happens all the time, and they found that the lob was the single most effective shot for turning a defensive situation into an offensive one. The #1 tool for turning the tables. So, how do you actually put this into practice in a match? Well, think of it as a quick 4-step checklist. First, read your opponent. Are they getting a little too close to the net? Second, assess the court. Is there a big open space behind them? Third, choose your weapon. Is this a moment for the safe defensive lob or the aggressive topspin attack? And finally, #4, execute. Commit to that upward swing with total confidence. So you see, when it comes right down to it, the lob is so much more than just hitting a ball high into the air. It's this really sophisticated play that manipulates 3 things at once. You manipulate space by using the entire vertical dimension of the court. You manipulate time by giving yourself a moment to reset. And you manipulate your opponent's psychology by forcing them into that uncomfortable, stumbling retreat. Which really just leaves us with one final big question. When you think about the physics, the geometry, the strategy, all the split-second thinking that's required to hit it perfectly. Could it be that the humble lob is actually the most intelligent shot in all of tennis? It's something to think about next time you're on the court.